And they kind of rag him about it, like, oh, you know, just plant the explosives. Their plan is to plant the explosives at the bottom of the mountain, where it's far enough out of range to the nuclear facility. So that when Rambo gets to the top, the only way he can get in, since the bottom is sealed shut from the inside, it's been welded, and, you know, the terrorists even told him it was welded shut. You're not getting in here. You guys have no chance. The time that normally you'd be spending to get money to pay the ransom, that's the time we're giving you to find your own bunkers, because hell is coming to fucking Earth tonight. So, and that, you know, if the fallout doesn't kill them, the army, if the terrorists do survive, are going to come and wipe them out anyway, eventually, over time. I know it was a little ill, you know, thought through going through it, but hey, I was just trying to write a cool movie, or a cool script. So, they want Rambo to plant the explosive devices at the bottom of the cliff, kind of like a diversion, so when he gets to the top, he can set off the explosions at the bottom, and by the time that the enemy has been sent to check out what's going on down below, Rambo has enough time to sneak in, sneak down the silo, unman the bombs, like disarm the bombs, and maybe take some people out before the cavalry shows up, so to speak. So, you know, on deployment, they're like, you know, the military is like, you know, you forgot your bag, you know, with all the stuff in it. All the explosives and all the high-tech gadgetry that Rambo could use for diversion, you know, stuff like that, stuff by satellite and different things. And Rambo, you know, pretty much tells him that he's not that stupid, that he's gonna go in on his own accord. You know, he doesn't want to take any chances that the nuclear reactor is gonna blow before he can get to take care of business. You know, that sometimes the older ways of doing things, the more stealthy ways, are the best ways. Having said that, I know he does use the arrows, the explosive arrows, at the top of the mountain. But the top of that mountain is the area that's the most exposed. That's why it's got everybody, you know, the lines of defense up there, until it's eventually time to set the nuclear missiles up and have everybody brought inside or whatever. But the nuclear parts of everything at this point are very deep within the mountain. So chances are, by Rambo setting off charges on the top of the mountain, that it won't, you know, cause anything to explode on the bottom. Not on the bottom, but within the nuclear reaction chamber part of the complex. And, you know, also I didn't want to, you know, even though I was going to end up rehashing a lot of Rambo tactics from other films, because I knew I was going to have Rambo doing things that would remind the audience of, like, First Blood Part 2, First Blood, and Rambo 3. I didn't really want to go over the edge. So to have Rambo, you know, get to the top of the mountain and sneakily move around through the crowds of bad guys planting high-tech explosive devices kind of reminded me a little too much of the middle part of Rambo 3. So I kind of wanted to leave it out. I kind of wanted to go a new way. Eventually, you know, this whole project got scrapped. You know, this whole writing project got scrapped. You know, I still have notes somewhere in some box. Somewhere, but, you know, pretty much I'm just going off the top of my head at what I can remember to relate to you now. So, yeah, so Rambo's deployed. He takes a couple of minutes, you know, to familiarize himself with the area, since he's not bringing in all the radar stuff and the satellite stuff. he pretty much goes back to basics. You know, he uses the compass and his knife to navigate, and he pretty much starts making his way up that mountain, and then starts taking out, you know, little various parts of bad guys who are on the mountain. So that, you know, all that comes in about maybe, I guess, 30 minutes into the movie, by the time he gets deployed. So it's pretty much I would say 70 to 80% of this movie is just non-stop action, or a thrill ride like the original that tries to pay homage and play on aspect parts of the other movies in the trilogy up to that point. The way he arrives at the mountain is via submarine, which is also a little bit different. He's ejected from the submarine out of the way, like far enough away that the radar from the silo site can't pick up Rambo. You know, Rambo's the Federation's of that Rambo's in. So he's in this like tube, pretty much this tube, and they eject Rambo, and the tube is kind of like a missile shot straight to the outskirts of the mountain, and then Rambo, you know, crawls out of the tube, Frogman style, eventually making his way onto dry land, and you know, the fight's on, like the mission's on. Funny note, I was working on a Contra like fan script based on the movie Contra, based on the video game Contra for Nintendo, sorry. Like the old NES Entertainment System, Nintendo Entertainment System. And that's actually how my guys from Contra get onto the island, via sub with these round tube like bullet chambers that shoot out, that bring them to their destination. And I actually wrote that for Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, like the likeness of them, because I love that shit, and I would love to see a Contra movie. So I actually brought that scene in Contra from this script, from my Rambo 4 script. I know I'm going in circles. I'll try not to do that, but this is totally unscripted. I think I wrote 4 pages of notes, and most of this has been really unscripted. It's just going back from memory. I actually wrote down a few of the plot points just so I wouldn't forget to bring them up, because they were so cool, but that I didn't want to forget. I didn't want to have to do another video, because this is going to be pretty lengthy with dealing with the prequel and my other version for Rambo 5. But yeah, so Rambo, you know, gets there, makes his way up the hill. He's killing, you know, people off at certain points with the sniper modified Uzi. You know, most of it's with one Uzi, but you know, when he does get cornered a little later on, he uses 2. It's very Sergio Leone, you know, like he pulls the other one out. He's got one on the crowd, but he pulls the other one out to get ready, and it's kind of like getting ready for that big draw at the end of Once Upon a Time in the West, but with 2 guns instead of 1. And so let's get now we're pretty much all caught up to date. I didn't leave anything out. So Rambo's now, I don't think I did anyway. So now Rambo has just crawled in the hatch. We cut, you know, we're gonna cut a half an hour ahead or whatever. So we're about an hour through the movie with about a half an hour to go. So Rambo, you know, crawls down the hatch, starts making his way down the hatch. Now all he's got is the knife. Most of the enemy alliance he took out when he was, you know, outside of the complex, either coming up the mountain or that great battle at the top of the mountain or the episodic part of where he was cornered and confronted and just started going apeshit on everybody, going Rambo as only Rambo could. So he's climbing down, and there's only a few bad guys left, and he takes them out here and there, very hand to hand, like I said, or knife to hand tactics, very gruesome. And there's only a few main bad guys left. The first main bad guy got shot in the face or in the eye with the C4 tipped arrow. The second main bad guy got crushed in the hatch. So there's 3 main bad guys, left. That's including the Mickey Rourke character. So I guess Mickey's kicking himself that he sent all the bulk of his alliance out there to try and take Rambo out, or to survey the area to make sure that no other American forces were coming in, even though these guys are Americans too. It's America against America in this one. It just got a little close to home, as you will find out. But yeah, so there's 3 main bad guys left. So Rambo pretty much arrives at the nuclear fusion part of the complex, as he's come down on his descent. He's taken out a couple of bad guys here and there. Very Cobra-esque, I must say. Very much like Cobra. It kind of reminds me of Cobra. Not the way he takes them out, because he pretty much, like, snap a neck, stab, cut a guy's head off, machete cut a guy's head off. At one point he takes a knife and sticks it into a guy's stomach and goes straight all the way up, right into, like, leaving the beak of the knife in the guy's throat, and then does this twist thing and cuts the guy's fucking head right off. But I think what reminds me more of Cobra is the surroundings, with like the swivel lights, how like the lights turn and flash, the flashing lights and everything inside. Kind of reminds me of Cobra. And I must admit that the part in which after Rambo disarms the nuclear devices kind of reminds me of my own sequel to Cobra that I've been writing for about a year now. Kind of reminds me of that. Actually, it's where I got the idea for my Cobra sequel fan script for one of the last showdown fights. I got it from this Rambo 4 early draft fan script. So anyway, we'll get to that in a second, but he gets to like the nuclear device. He uses the knife as a kind of like screwdriver, and also to pry apart pieces of the nuclear mechanical devices and machinery, and to cut the wires. He's been trained in that stuff in the past, because he is, after all, a expert in demolitions and light weaponry, right? So he uses, the knife to pretty much jury-rig and disassemble and disconnect the nuclear device. The shelling around the nuclear devices and the missiles at this point is impenetrable enough that if there, should something go awry, at least at this point, he's a little bit safer, and they can't be launched at this point. The missiles can't be launched, and he's pretty much taking care of the main part of the mission he was sent on. Also noting that a lot of these nuclear devices are very old, that this is pretty much a storage bunker, a prototype, if you will, but it's older. So